So we'll be talking about Mac OS, its related artifacts of interest, and the analysis, how we can analyze those artifacts. So the webinar is going to be of 1 hour, and the agenda for the webinar is as follows. First, we'll be giving you a brief introduction about what Mac OS is, then what are the artifacts of importance to us, and what are the forensic significance of these artifacts. We'll be going through the artifacts of interest, especially related to Mac OS. Then we'll be seeing how to collect using digital collector and how do we analyze these artifacts using the inspector. Right. So what is Mac OS? Mac OS is the short form for Macintosh operating system. It is an operating system which was developed by Apple for its own line of personal computers and laptops or workstations, as we can say. The Mac OS is an abbreviation used for Macintosh. It is built on a Unix-based architecture, and it is a very stable and reliable environment or operating system which has been created by Apple itself. The user interface is clean and organized, and it is clean and organized, and it makes it user-friendly. It gives a user-friendly experience. So Mac OS is also known for its stability and security. As we all know, the security features of Mac OS are comparatively very strong when in comparison to Windows. So that is about a brief introduction about Mac OS. What are artifacts? Okay, artifacts are any kind of objects which can provide us valuable information about something. This is a basic definition of artifacts. So artifacts are any kind of objects or areas. When we talk about computer systems, these are some objects, some files, some areas within a computer system which give us valuable information or which store potential information in them. So during forensic analysis, these artifacts play a great role in approving or disapproving the investigator's observation. The artifacts can make or break a case. The Mac operating systems stores different types of evidence-related artifacts on different areas. So we'll be going through all of them one by one. All right. What are Mac OS artifacts? What are the artifacts of interest when we are specifically talking about Mac systems? So Mac OS has all these artifacts which are listed down. There are many others, but I have just listed down a few of them. The first one being Mac OS file system events. File system events, what do they do? File system events keep a log of any kind of file system activity which is going on in your system. So any kind of file that you have created, you have modified, you have accessed, if you have renamed that file, if you have deleted that file, any kind of event related to files is a system, a log of all of those activities is maintained by the system in the form of file system events. So we'll be going through that also. Where do we find these file systems and how do we analyze them? The second is user preferences, any kind of preferences that the user can set in the system. For example, also the preferences which a user can set within an application. For example, if we are setting the font size, if we are setting the font color, if we are setting up the size of the window that that an application will run into, all those kind of artifacts are stored in user preferences. Then we have system preferences. System preferences store any kind of system-related preferences that the user has set. For example, the display preferences that the user has set, any kind of keyboard or mouse preferences the user has set, all those preferences related to the system are the log of all those preferences are stored in the system preferences. The fourth one that we are going to cover is auto run. So this we all are familiar with, any kind of activity or any kind of background activity or any kind of application that the user has set to auto run. Whenever we turn on the system, all these activities or all these programs, they automatically run as we switch on our system. All the logs of such activities are kept in the auto run artifact. And we have Spotlight. Spotlight is one very important artifact when we talk about Mac systems. So like we have search bar in our Windows system, similarly we have Spotlight in our Mac systems. What Spotlight does is we can find any kind of content that is residing on our system or on our computer using Spotlight. So Spotlight helps, we can search, okay, let's take it this way. We can search for any kind of file based on its name, any kind of metadata it has, the file content, its size, or any such information. We can search a file based on all these aspects using Spotlight. Then we have system events, any kind of events which are occurring in the system, the operating system events which are going on in the background, and any kind of activity like that. Those are stored as system events. The unified logs, Apple used to keep different logs for users and systems, but now it keeps the unified logs for both the users and system. That is why we have Apple unified logs. We have quarantine events. So what are quarantine events? We usually download things. So we can download things in our Mac OS system. We can download things using URLs, any kind of like browser. So it keeps a record of all the downloads, including from where you have downloaded that. That URL is also stored. Quarantine events stores that. Then you can have downloads or which you have shared via AirDrop. We can use AirDrop in our systems and in our iPhone mobile phones. So any kind of file which has been shared, file, document, your pictures, anything which has been shared and been downloaded in your system via AirDrop, it keeps a record of that also. So quarantine events keep a record of all those things. Also, any kind of attachment that you have downloaded via mail, it keeps a record of that as well. Terminal commands history. So you can run commands in the terminal. So whatever commands you have run before, it keeps a history or it keeps a record of all of those things. Then we have Apple accounts. How many accounts have been logged into the system? How many users are there in the system? So it keeps a log of all of those accounts. Log-on sessions, how many times you have logged into the system, you have logged out of the system, including the timestamp and the date when you have logged in and logged out, all of those events. The record of all of those events is kept in the login sessions. Then you have a list of installed applications, any kind of applications which have been installed, it is stored in the installed applications artifacts. So, and the last one is keychain. Keychain is an artifact which can be found in Mac systems and even in our iPhones. So keychain is an encrypted container which is used to store any kind of confidential information. For example, we have our passwords, we have our credit card information, or any such information which we have entered into our system. So Apple keeps a track of that, but in an encrypted container. So it is secure. So keychain keeps a record of all of those. Now we'll be moving to collection. How do we use digital collector to collect all of these evidences from a Mac system? The first thing that you can see here, when you connect your digital collector to your Mac system, you will be provided with multiple files or folders, as you can say, from where you can run. You will see a container with MacOS app. The name of the container would be MacOS app. When you open that container, you will see a symbol of the digital collector there. And when you click on that or when you run that, you will see this window firstly. The window says that you have to provide full disk access to collector. Like you will have to give full disk access to your collector. And then after giving full disk access to your collector, then only the collector will have the ability to access your system completely and to be able to dig deeply to get out all those artifacts from that. Once you have given that full disk access to the system, full disk access of the system to the digital collector, the second window will appear like this. So here, as you can see, you have multiple options. The first thing that you have to provide is the case detail. Whatever case details you have to provide those. So case detail can include your case name, number, location, any kind of additional information that you need to provide about the case. You can enter that here. Now you see 4 options here: browser, search, collection, and image. All these 4 options are play a very important and different role here in the digital collector and in our collection process as well. So the first option that we'll be seeing is browser. Browser will let you browse the file system of your Mac system here itself. So you can browse and you can selectively pick up, you can browse it from the roots and internal containers from here, and you can selectively analyze. You can perform a selective analysis from this window, from the browser window. Then second, we have search. You can search for any kind of content that you need to search for in your Mac system using this window. You can provide the location where you need to search. You can provide the name of any file that you need to search. You can give the name, the file extension. You can search it on the basis of file size or any kind of date. That if you have a date range that you need to find any file which has been created or which has been residing on this computer from this to this date. So you can provide that date range as well, and you can search on the content. You can search for binary files and you can search for your documents also. The third option that you see here is collection. So collection here can be compared to like triaging. Okay. So the first thing that we go and when we are working on a live system and we need to collect information, the potential information or the important information before the system turns off. So that is when we use this option. So collection, when you use this option, it will collect all the important things, important files, which will be necessary for us. Even if it cannot collect the user data or any such thing, but all the system files and user files which are of forensic importance to us, it will collect all those files. Here you can see on the left, you can collect the files as per the user. You can collect the bash history. The bash history contains the terminal command history that you have, the calendars, contacts, desktop, downloads. All these files can be collected. Then here, the system files that can be collected are also given here, the auto login passwords if you have any software updates, any kind of OS, like any kind of system information, like when was the OS installed, what was the version installed, the softwares that were installed here, the system trash, the system logs, all these system files can also be collected from here. Now, the last option that we see here is image. When you have to create a complete image of your Mac system. This can be your this is your E01 compressed image. You can create that. You can create a DMG of this. So here you are given the disk. All of these partitions are listed down. So you can create the image of your disk and the partitions as well. You can select what format do you need to collect. What format do you need to make the image? You can specify the segment size if you want the image to be created into segments. Then you can select the hashes, what you need to calculate, the MD5 hash, the SHA-1 hash, or the SHA-256 hash. The next thing you do is you provide a destination where you want to create that image, and then you simply click on the image device. This is how we are going to collect the image, or we are going to collect the artifacts. When moving back, when I was talking about this collection, the format that you see here, when you are performing a triage or you're performing a collection using this, you are performing a logical extraction. So an L01 will be formed or a sparse image will be formed. These are the formats for the logical collection. Okay. Talking about inspector. Now we have collected all the evidences. Now we have collected all the artifacts with us. Now we have to inspect, or we have to analyze them. How do we do that? We load our image into the inspector. Here we can see the disk image, which the supported file formats are of E01, as I said, DMG, AFF4, L01, 001, and sparse image. L01 sparse image are all of those images that we have created logically. E01, DMG are of the physical images that we have created of the entire disk. We can select a disk image that we need to analyze, or we can select a particular file or folder. In inspector, we can also do collection of our mobile device. So a third option of show attached mobile device is also given. And we have the fourth option of showing any kind of attached disks. On the left pane, you can see the sources. You can add the source. The second option that you see is activity, the evidence status, any kind of processing activity. If it is going on in your image, it will show it here. And if you are performing any kind of export, like if you have a file that you are analyzing and you want to export it to your system for further analysis, you can export it, and the status for that will be given over there, here, export or imaging status. Then while you're analyzing, if you find anything important or of use, or you want to revisit that to analyze it further, you can put tags on that artifact. a tags content is tags bar is there. Then you have the content search, any kind of search that you have performed. It will list down the searched results here. Index search and investigative notes. Any additional notes that you need to provide about the case or the image that you need to provide, you can add them here. Right. So when we do the analysis, these are all the types of artifacts that we'll be going through. When I run inspector, I'll show you all these artifacts. How can we analyze them and where will we find them in the inspector? So the file system events, these are usually seen as FS events D. Then system preferences, user preferences, we've already talked about that. The knowledge is something which keeps a record of about various resources which are being used, or any kind of, basically we can see any resources which are being run on your system, like you have any Wi-Fi connections, you have any Bluetooth connections, or any such thing. We'll look into that in just a bit. We have talked about quarantine events, spotlight, auto run, user logons, the logins and logouts, the keychains and applications. It can list down all the applications which are there on your system. So now I will simply run the inspector and I'll show you. Okay. This is the image that I have provided to my inspector. It has listed down the volumes and all the partitions which are there. The first thing that you can see here is the browser. The browser will let you, like, we can browse for files, or we can we can browse the file system before imaging as well. Here we can, after imaging, when we need to browse the file system, we can do that through the browser window. So here we have all the partitions of the volume. Then we have file filter, any kind of filter that we can give, and if we need to find any particular file based on those filters, so we can give that filter here and search our files for that. Actionable intel is it basically, it digs any kind of evidences which are left out in normal processing. So evidences for which we need to dig deep. All those evidences will be shown here. So the accounts are shown here, the passwords that were being used, downloads, what were the downloads being performed, the recent files, all the connections, all the USB connections that were made with the system, along with the serial number of the USB device. They are given over here. The insights to all of these are given here in the actionable intel. Now in the communication bar, you can see any kind of calls, messages, posts, voicemails, any kind of communication activity which was going on using the system, it will be listed down here. Media will show you all the types of pictures, videos, thumbnails, all the media related things. Locations, any artifact which has geolocation or which has location data stored within it, all of those will be listed here in the locations bar. The main kind of system artifacts that we'll be seeing will be here in this tab, the systems tab. The system, under system, when we look, the first thing that we see is registry. This is for the Windows system. The second artifact which we'll see today is Spotlight, which is of importance to us when you talk about Mac systems. So here in Spotlight, we can see all the Spotlight data which it has picked up from the image. Spotlight was any kind of search that we have performed in our system. So the file name using which it was searched, the display name by which the file was shown, the kind of file, if it was a plist file, if it was a document, any kind of folder we have searched for. So all of those have been listed down along with the dates. The second important thing is dictionary. Here we can see the dictionary artifact as well. The third artifact that we can see here is the applications. As we talked, that the installed applications are also of importance to us. So any kind of application, it has when was it installed, along with the time and date. It is given here in this installed or the applications category. All the applications that were here installed in this Mac system are listed down here. So let us see, for example, we see Safari extension, or let us see mail. Okay, so when we click on mail, it will show when the date when it was created, the date when it was modified, or when it was last accessed. It was 21/11/2023, and date it was created was 9/5/2022. So it will list down the artifact along with the date and time. Date accessed, date added, date modified and created. All of these are also listed down here. Second thing that is of importance to us is for file system events. These are the file system events that we were talking about. In all the activities, all the kind of file system events that were occurring in our system are stored here. Here, all the kind of flags are also given. If we have created a file, if we have modified a file, if we have deleted it, renamed it, or if we have changed anything regarding to that file, if we have even changed the owner of the file, it will also list down all the flags, all the kind of activities which have been performed with that particular file. It will also give us the path to which the file, where the file resides. It will give us the path to that. It will give us the name of the file. These are all the files. You have the source file from where it has been, the information has been picked up, the identifier along with the file, the identification number, as we say, associated with the file is also given over there. So here we can see all these files, if they are being renamed, if they are being created or modified. If let us highlight this, if this is a log file, it was created or modified, all of these tags are being given along with the file. Okay. Moving on, here. This plugin, the Apollo Master, is very important. It gives us very valuable information about our system. All of these are of very much importance to us when we say. So these are all artifacts of forensic importance to us. As I was talking, knowledge keeps. Let us see a little bit more in this. So knowledge, any kind of resources or any kind of activities that are being carried out in the Mac system. The device usage, all of these are listed down here in knowledge. We can see the Wi-Fi connections. We can see the system user waking events. We can see CD activity, any kind of CD activity which was going on there in the system. If we have searched anything using Siri, or we have found any activity using Siri, we can see all of those events under the knowledge category. Other things that we can see here is standby timer. If we have Safari browsing history will also be seen here in this tab. We have photos, shared photos, deleted photos, edited photos. All of these will be listed down separately. We have devices which have been plugged in. Here we can see device plugged in. Any kind of device connections which have been made with our Mac system, they will also be shown here. Device orientation, device. Okay, when was the device logged? When was it backlit? When was the device put into battery saver mode? The device battery level at all times will also be shown here. These events are of importance to us when we think about it forensically. So calendar events, any kind of calendar events that were there in the device, these are also here. The app usage. We have seen the installed applications. When was it installed and last modified or last access? We have seen that, but what was the usage history of those apps? That will be seen here. This app web usage, if the app is using your internet or any such thing, if it is using your network, so that will be given here. You have app installation details also, activity level, airplay predictions. All of these artifacts are of importance to us. Then next thing is quarantine events. So if you have downloaded any files, if you have downloaded files using your mail, if you have downloaded your files using your browser, if you have airdrop files and you've downloaded those files into your system, all of those files will be shown here under the category of quarantine events. Any kind of Safari data it will pick, it will show here in this category, the Safari category. The power logs of the device, the notifications, the notification center of the device, or the notifications that were seen, they will be logged into this. Then we have interactions. Interactions here, we can see any kind of communications that were made with the device, the mails, or if we were using iChat, we were using FaceTime in this device, all of those interactions will be shown in this category, the contact interactions. Then we have location, any kind of locations. Okay, let me see if we have a question over here. Just a second. Is there any other tool which is more descriptive? Yes, we can use, I think we can use FTK for that matter, if we need more descriptive information or we need contents and if we need details about that. So we can load our image into FTK and we can look into those images using the FTK. Are there any more questions? Okay, let us just take a break and okay. We will be addressing the questions later on by the end of the meeting. Let us just complete our webinar for the topic of webinar for today. All right. So as we were talking about notifications. We have talked about that. We were talking about locations. So the location history, the location data which is being picked up from the Mac system, we'll see it over here. Then we have health, one of the important apps that we use in our systems, the iPhones or even in our Macs, is the health app, which gives us information about the health related data. How many steps we have taken, the distance, the flights, heart rate, all of that data which is being stored here. Or for example, even for a fact, if we have our iPhone and our Mac synced, if we have both of those running on the same Apple ID. So any kind of data which is being stored there in our iPhone will also be stored into our Mac. Or let us say we can extract that information here from our Mac also, if we have the same Apple ID running on the iPhone and as well as our Mac systems. So, yeah. So the steps, the weight, any kind of these activity which was being performed and the data related to it, we'll see it under the health category. Then the data usage, we'll see here. Any kind of calls that were made, the call history, it will be shown here. These are all the artifacts which we'll see here under this category, the Apollo plugin. Screen time, what was the screen time by category, by hour, we'll see that in a bit. Then we have SMSs, any kind of chat messages which were read, the chat messages which were sent and delivered, and the entire chat that we have to see, we can see that from here as well. These are also cloud related data, the cloud visit exit, all of these things we can see here. Okay, now productivity. In productivity, we can see 4 sections. The calendar, any kind of event that you have created. If you've created any event into your calendar, the calendar which is synced on your Apple device, Apple mobile phone, like the iPhone and the Mac system. If you have created an event in your mobile phone, it will show it here also. But even if you have created an event in your Mac system, it will also show up here in the calendars category. Then we have notes, any notes that you have created in your system, the notes which we can create in our iPhones as well as our Mac devices. All those notes will be shown here. Then we have reminders along with the calendar events. We can also create reminders, as we know. So the reminders which are created, that will be listed down in this section. Then we have screen time. So screen time is divided into four categories. As you can see, we can see the screen time by category. What was the category that was running? Like if we have an app, we have an app. For example, we have Netflix, so that will come under the entertainment category. So the category ID, according to the category ID, it will show us the screen time, the total time it was used, total time in seconds, total time in minutes, and the category ID. It will show all of that. We have productivity category, reading and references, if you're using Apple Books or any such app. So all of these activities are stored over here. Then we can also see the screen time by hour. If we see that screen time in seconds, in minutes, the user, the given name of the user or the user account which was accessing the system at that point of time, it will show it there, the platform which was being used, and the device ID. All of this is listed down here. Counted times, number of notifications that were there after the notification, the first pickup, the number of pickups without app usage, device ID, platform. Again, all of the same information, we can see it under the category of counted as well, and the time category here also. We can see the bundle ID, we can see creativity ID that we could see here in category, and the app usage in minutes, in seconds, and all of this information we can see over here. From here, actionable intel, we can see the accounts that were being used, into the system. All of the accounts that were being used into the system. Currently, a process is also running here. So any kind of process that is running, it will also show an exclamation mark here. So it will show all the accounts that were here on the system. Then we can see the recent files. We can see all of these in a form of a pie chart. The folders, access, shared file list, desktop volumes, all of the recent files that was accessed will be shown here. The connections that were made, 3 connections. All of the 3 connections here, these are the 3 connections made, and these are listed down here. All the 3 connections made with this laptop were of 2 were of iPhone and 1 was of the iPad. So all the Apple devices were connected with this laptop, the laptop which we have used for imaging. The serial number of the serial number of the device is given, and the last date when it was synced or when it was connected to the device is given here. Downloads, as I said, it will show the downloads which we have done using mail. If we have done the downloads using any kind of Chrome, like browsers, Chrome or Safari. If we have used Microsoft Teams, Skype, any kind of application that we have used to download any file, it will be shown here. The passwords that were being used here and were being stored in the keychain. So passwords that are stored in the keychain will be shown here. As I can see, the system that we were using was using this password very frequently. The detailed tabs. Here we can see all of the items. The USB connections window, 3 connections that were there. Then we have device backup. If we have any kind of device backup which is there on the system, it will list down all of that device backup. SIM card history, account usage. The account usage will show you all the top contacts. So the device was in contact, like the device was storing contacts. So all of those contacts were there. The user accounts were there. What was the account type? The Apple ID was being used, Game Center, iCloud, whatever, Mac messages, all of that was being used. will be shown here. Now, if Apple Wallet was being used, all of the details related to our Apple Wallet, the Apple Wallet card, account, and any kind of transactions that were being made with the Apple Wallet, we can see all of that in actionable intel under the category of details. Here in connections, if any kind of Bluetooth connection is made, any kind of network connections or USB connections are made, if had there been any connection made with the Windows USB, like Windows connection, so it would have listed down here. Now file downloads, as you were saying, as I said, the downloads file of the quarantine files will show you files which were downloaded using the internet as well as the AirDrop. So it has listed both of these files. The AirDrop files are also here, 340 files, the images. As we can see, there were images here. So the images that were shared using AirDrop, these are listed here, and the files that were being downloaded along with the URLs from where it was downloaded. The knowledge files, it keeps activity of the recent items, as I said. So here we see the type, we see the label, the item name for which it is storing the activity. All of these are stored here in the recent items. What are the recent items that were running on the system? And as here we can see all of these trash items that it found on the system from the .trash folder. It is seen there. Then we have passwords, any kind of passwords it was storing. We will see all of those keychain passwords it was storing in the password section. And search, we will see the Spotlight shortcuts, and if we had picked up the Windows system for our investigation, so Windows Explorer search if we were using. So all of that would be shown under this category. Now, you talking about the interface of inspector, we have notifications bar here. We can see all the notifications that we are seeing here in the inspector. From file section, we can create a new case. We can open up a case. If we have opened up a case recently, we can reopen, or for further processing or further analysis, we can open up the recent case. We can close the current case that we're working on. We can add the source from here as well, and we can add source from this section as well. So we can use both of these to add additional source. If we have created a case template, we have a case template, we can use that. We can save the case template. We can, if we have already created a template and we want to import that, we can do that. So we can do that. We can export case template. In the edit section, we have all of these options here. The general options are here, the reporting options. If you want to see the chat messages that we're going to export in the report, if you want a conversation view or a list view of that, the export options are here. Templates. Here in action, you can see if you want to export. For example, if I have this recent item, I can right click on this and I can export it from here as well. And also I can also export it using the actions menu here, export. We can export the selected files. We can select export the file only. We can export the entire folder structure, and we can export the entire folder structure from the root itself. We can export the file as it is, or we can export the file as an L01. We can export the hash set if we have any, like when we were performing imaging or when we were processing. So we have performed hashing as well. So if we want to export that hash list or the hash set, we can export that. We can export the data model. We can export the case data, the entire case data that we want as an XML. We can export if we select a particular row, let's say, so we can export that row, export any kind of selection. Here, as you can see, you can select the raw data, you can select the hex or the formatted data, which you can export, and the passwords key list. Tags, as we discussed, if you find anything which is of importance to your case, or if you want to review anything, if you want to further analyze that evidence or artifact as such. So you can put a tag on that. Here you can create a new tag and you can name the tag and tag it accordingly so that you can see it under in this section later on. Here, if we select a particular file, we can choose to show the file information. Then we have manage, we can manage all these settings. We can manage the passwords, classifications, file signatures, hash sets, all of that we can manage from here. Here we can, from Windows section, we can open up the case window. We can minimize the current window. We can zoom it in further. Inspectors, this is the name of the current case which is being which is opened up right now in the system, which we are analyzing right now in the inspector. So that name is here. If you have multiple cases open, it will list down multiple names in this section, and the help bar will provide you any kind of help that you need. And you can see the if your inspector needs update, you can see that. If you need to update your dongle license, you can do that from this section. If okay, once you have completed, let us look into these options as well. So here, as we discussed, like while we were imaging, we can provide the case information. Here also, when we are analyzing or while we are processing our case, we can provide all these kind of case information. We can give the name, the examiner who's examining the case, who is performing the analysis. We can write down the details about that examiner. We can write down the case information. We can set the time zone of the case from this section. Then we have the details section. It is giving us the detail, the disk image, which was, the disk image which we have passed here. It is giving us the details about that. This is giving us a disk view of that. And this is a basic summary. That's file system which is there, on which the system is running, the APFS file system, the volumes and its containers are shown over here. Then we have the timeline view here. From the timeline view, you can see all of those things, the files, the communications, emails, all of the artifacts that you have collected from this system, or all of the artifacts that you have collected from your evidence. All of these can be viewed in a timeline view. For example, we can see that major of the activity has been performed in this time frame. So we can see all of the time and date related information. We can plot our evidences or the artifacts in the timeline view and we can view that here. In the report section, you have the option of okay, so this is how the report will look. This is the cover page of your report. It will have the case information, the contents that you've put, the device which was being used, it's all of its data, the volume, name, file system which was there, the root file, when was it created, last file ID, MAC ID of the system, application artifacts, whatever you choose to include in your report. This is the report preview. So right now we have selected all of the contents. We have selected the case info. We have selected contents. So all of these is being listed down in the report, and this is how your report will look. If you choose to have case data, including all of these things, if we need to have messages, notes, posts, the connections, we can choose. We can select accordingly. And we have the option of creating our report in an HTML format, in a PDF format, docx format, text format, CSV, or an Excel format. So these are all the kind of formats for report which are supported in Inspector. In Share, what is this option for Share? So after you have processed your entire image, after you're done processing, you've analyzed it, or if you want to share the image, if you have analyzed the image, and if you need to share the analyzed image with someone else, so you can use this option for sharing. You can create a portable case of the case that you're working on, and you can use the share option for creating a portable case and sharing it. Yeah. So what all data that you need is that you need to include in the portable case. From here, this section as it is will be shown over here, the actionable intel and the number of artifacts that it has found. communications, media, locations, internet, productivity, and system. All of these artifacts, you can also choose from within these major categories, what are the subcategories that you need to include. You can choose all of that. So you can do selective, you can select particular files from which you need to create a portable case. You can also select a date range that if you need to share only particular information with the other person. So you can limit the data, extracted data to that date range. You can choose a date range from where till where you need to share the artifacts. And then you can simply click on generate portable case for creating a portable case and sharing it with the other person. Also, keep in mind that while any kind of processing is going on in your system, any kind of processing is going on the image, you will not be able to share you will not be able to create a portable case, right? And one more thing to note is for portable case reader, we also have to provide a reader to the other person so that he can view the portable case that we have created. So we have to, if the person has a Windows system, we have to provide a reader for the Windows system, and if the person is going to access the case on a Mac system, we'll provide the reader for the same. So this is all about Inspector.
Thank you for watching the webinar. Subscribe to Third Eye Techno Solutions for more insightful webinars and content.